In this video, we're going to look at some very simple programs that use graphical user interfaces. Now, I should mention that the Python language itself doesn't have anything built into it that creates a graphical user interface, and I'm talking about the language itself. But Python, when you install it on your system, Python comes with a module named tkinter, and the tkinter module can be used to create graphical user interfaces. The tkinter module has a number of classes that you can use to create the components of a graphical user interface. Now, by component, what I'm talking about is you have, in a graphical user interface, you have windows, and within windows you have things like buttons and labels and those kinds of things, and all of those are components. Now, in the tkinter terminology, they're called widgets. So, but regardless of what you call it, whether it's a widget or a component, these are the objects that make up a graphical user interface. And if you want one of these widgets or one of these components to appear in your application's interface, you simply create the appropriate tkinter object for that kind of component. Now, the program that we have on the screen here is going to create a very simple window. Just when we run this program, it's going to create a window, a very small window that contains a label, and the label will display the text "Hello World." That's all it's going to do. So before we run this, let's look at the code. You'll notice that the first thing is to import the tkinter module. And then we have a class. Now, the approach that we're going to take in all of these programs is to write a class, and when we instantiate that class, the init method will build the graphical user interface. So in this class, we have an init method, and you'll notice that the first statement creates an instance of the tkinter.tk class. So the tk class is a class in the tkinter module, and this class represents the main window in the application, and it's often referred to as the root widget, and that term is used in the textbook from time to time. The root widget is simply the application's main window. So here we are creating that object in memory, and we are assigning a reference to that object to the variable main window. Okay, so the thing to remember is that the main window variable references the main window. Now, inside the main window, we want to create a label that displays the text "Hello World." So the next thing that happens is that we create an instance of the label class, the tkinter.label class, and we are passing two arguments to the init method. We're passing the main window variable. Now, the reason we're doing that is we have to tell the label object where it's going to appear. It's going to appear in the main window. And the next argument is the text that we want to be displayed on the label. And we're using a keyword argument, text equal, and then we have this string "Hello World." So this statement will create the label in memory, and the label will be inside the main window, and it will display the text "Hello World." And then the next statement is to call the label object's pack method. Now, it's important to point out that creating a widget doesn't necessarily cause the widget to appear on the screen. So when you create widgets that appear inside your root widget, you have to call the pack method for each one of those. The pack method, among other things, it makes the widget visible. And then the last thing that we're doing is we're calling the tkinter.mainLoop method. Now, this main loop is simply like an infinite loop that needs to continuously run as long as the application is running. Okay, so those are the steps for creating a very simple GUI on the screen. The only other thing that we have to do is create an instance of the MyGUI class so that all this will happen, and that's what this statement right here does. Okay, well let's go ahead and run this program and take a look at the resulting GUI. Okay, so here is the main window, and then inside the main window you see the label widget with the text "Hello World." And of course, in order to end the program, I can simply click the standard Windows close button that appears here. Now, the next example, which is shown here on the screen, is very similar to the previous program. In fact, the only difference between this program and the previous program is that this one displays 2 labels instead of 1. So any time that you want to create a widget or a component in a GUI, you have to create an object of the appropriate class. And in this program, since we're going to display 2 labels, then we have to have 2 label objects. So let's look at the code. First, we create an instance of the tkinter.tk class. Now remember, this is the root widget. It's our main window, and we're assigning a reference to that object to the main window variable. And then here in this statement, we create our first label object. We're creating an instance of tkinter.label, and this is just like what we did in the previous program. We're going to position that inside the main window, and that's the first argument, and the text that we're going to display is "Hello World." That's the second argument. So that's the label 1 object. Then we're going to create another label object. We're going to call it label 2, and once again we're going to display this in the main window, and the text that will be displayed in this object is "This is my GUI program." So at this point we've created 2 label objects, but we've not displayed those objects. We have to call their pack methods in order to display them, and then we call the tkinter.mainLoop method to make the GUI execute. So when we run this program, in order to make all this happen, we have to create an instance of MyGUI. So that's what this statement does. Okay, well let's go ahead and run this program and have a look. Okay, so here is the main window, and you can see that we have 2 labels. We see "Hello World" here. It's displayed in the first label, and then "This is my GUI program." That's displayed in the second label. And you'll notice that normally, by default, the widgets are stacked one on top of the other. Well, we can actually modify that. We can change the positioning of these widgets. So in the next program, we're going to look at an example of how we can do that. So here is our last example in this video, and this program is, for the most part, it's just like the previous program. We are creating 2 labels, label 1 and label 2, and the first label has the text "Hello World," and the second label has the text "This is my GUI program." But what's different in this program is that we are passing an argument to the pack method. When we call the label objects pack methods, we're passing an argument, and the argument that we're passing is side equal left. So what happens is that when we call the label 1 object's pack method, side equal left means position the label as far left as it will go in the parent container, the parent widget. And the parent widget is the main window. So it's going to position the label 1 object as far left as it'll go inside the main window. And then we're calling label 2's pack method with the same argument. So the label 2 object will be positioned inside the main window as far left as it can go. But that means that it won't be able to go all the way to the left because the label 1 object is in that position. So the label 2 object is going to be as far left as it can go, but it'll be next to label 1. So this code will cause the labels to appear side by side instead of one on top of the other. Well, I guess the best way to show that is to actually run the program. So let's run this program, and you can see the GUI. So here is the window that's displayed by the program. We have the main window, and then we have the label 1 object displaying hello world, and you can see that it's positioned as far left as it can go inside the main window. And then the second label, this is my GUI program, it's positioned as far left as it can go, which means that it's going to go right up next to the first label.